I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I was a squeaker in those Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. Yeah, I've grown up a lot since then, and while I have a lot of memories regarding the 2 decades of Call of Duty's reign, there have been some up and down points in its career. So, now that I have grown up a little bit, kind of moved away from that type of multiplayer game, I'd like to take a look back and rank these games in a bit more of a definitive, objective level. So, while I'm looking at these games, I have 4 different aspects that earn up to 25% each, and those are going to be campaign, multiplayer, the third game mode, which is pretty broad, I'll expand on that per game, and also the game design and the style. This is a bit more subjective, so I'll be kind of breaking that down as I go as well. So those 4 aspects are going to be rounded up and averaging out to 100% total. And a couple things before we get rolling into this list. I'd just like to mention that this is, at the end of the day, even though I try to quantify it, my opinion. So it's healthy if you have some differing opinions, and I'd actually like to hear some of those in the comments. I'd also like to mention that I am a casual gamer, so my opinions are going to reflect such, and I am also an incomplete critic, as in I haven't played all of these games. So I will mention those first and kind of give my general opinion on them, starting now. Call of Duty through Call of Duty 3, the old ones. Now, I was far too young to properly experience them, so I don't blame myself for not jumping on the chance to do so. Why would I want to as the 3-year-old that I was? So maybe I'll go back and play one of these games if it gets a resurgence. I think COD 3 in specific has a community around it, so maybe one day, but for the rest of them, probably not. Infinite Warfare was the first one I was of age to play that I actively did not. Now, the reasoning for this is the jetpack fatigue that the whole community was feeling. I fell victim to that as well. I was fanboying for Battlefield 1 during that little scuffle it had, and I love Battlefield 1, so I don't know if I'd go back and change things because I cherish the memories I have, but it might be worth revisiting. From what I saw in the Zombies community, the Zombies was actually pretty nice with it, and also the campaign had Jon Snow, so they're doing everything to make me happy. If it gets enough love in the comments, maybe I'll go back and do a Let's Play or something. I actually have played a little bit of Call of Duty Cold War, but not enough for me to actually put it on this list confidently. I have heard good things about this Zombies D Machine in specific, and also the campaign seems like it's held highly in the eyes of the fans. And finally, the next two I'm going to lump together, Vanguard and this newest Modern Warfare 3. I would not go back and play these. I don't know what the reception is from the fans, but I just don't have it in me to go back and play something that I see as kind of a lazy cash grab, which a lot of these games recently have been suffering from in my eyes. And one last aside, Black Ops 7 is currently not out while I'm making this video, so please do not ask me if I missed it or what I thought of it, because I have not played it yet. Thank you. Coming in dead last is this most recent Modern Warfare 2. I had this coming in at 33 out of 100, and I don't have much to say about this game aside that there's nothing to properly redeem it. The campaign was okay, it was kind of cool fighting in Mexico, going along the border, very topical, very funny, but it was underwhelming as a campaign, and that kind of trickled down into everything else about the game. The gunplay in the multiplayer was I didn't really like the gunsmithing system where you had to unlock attachments through different conversions. Not a big fan of that. And also the third game mode that they packaged with the game, I think it was a DMZ, but it's pretty much Warzone with extra wrapping paper around it. It doesn't hold my attention at all. It's just weak, and this is aside the ranking, but I bought this game fully expecting it to be a 2-year life cycle. I forget where I learned it from, but there were some pieces of evidence that I thought to be substantial enough to invest in this game, thinking that I'd get expansion in the campaign and just better support. And with Modern Warfare 3 being the game right after this, having all the original Modern Warfare 2 maps from '09, it really makes you wonder if it was supposed to be an expansion at the beginning. That's why I kind of hold a little beef to that game. So we'll move on from that. That's just something to think on. Okay, number 13 next up on this list with a 44 out of 100 is Advanced Warfare. Okay, I know this might ruffle some feathers, but we need to have some serious talk about this game. It was the first game to introduce the advanced movement jetpacks that the series would kind of go down the rabbit hole for the next few years, and it is by and large the worst game to have these features. The jetpacks felt clunky and awkward in action, and also kind of limited capability for some more creative outlooks on the game. They went with an art style that you could only do so much with the semi-realistic type things that they did. Even with like 3D printing guns, they all look kind of bland. The sound design was mediocre at best, and I just didn't find myself having fun doing the multiplayer or the zombies or survival, whatever you consider the third game mode. And real quick before I move on, the zombies had a celebrity cast that was so fucking stacked, man, and it makes me feel sad that I can't enjoy the games that fucking Bruce Campbell and Bill Paxton were in. It just sucks. Okay, that was me bitching for a little bit, so let me take a little bit more of a positive turn. I will say Advanced Warfare has a pretty damn good campaign. The cutscenes in specific were beautiful and worked in seamlessly with the gameplay, as well as the actual narrative itself. You had great performances all over, you had the nice commentary on the corporate entity becoming as powerful as a government. It was just something different for the series, and I really enjoyed what it did. That one mission where you're in prison and you have one arm because you get your robot arm taken away is a standout for me. Moving on, with a score of 49 out of 100, we have Call of Duty Ghosts. Okay, so Call of Duty Ghosts has some ups and downs. The biggest ups are between the campaign, which had some very cool moments sprinkled throughout, and the third game mode, which I counted to be Extinction. It might be a personal bias towards myself, but I spent a lot of time on Extinction. I thought it was the coolest thing, leave zombies. I think Call of Duty would certainly benefit from taking a few more risks like that. This game did have some noticeable downsides, mainly the multiplayer. The maps were just too big, even when they tried to do some cool shit. This was the first game to have like interactable aspects to the maps, but you couldn't fucking find people. The time to kill was way too fast. It just wasn't a very positive environment for me, even though it was more positive than it wasn't. Moving up on our ranking, we have Modern Warfare 2019 with a 51 out of 100. I like to think about this game as a very crucial turning point for Call of Duty as a whole. It could have been the start of vast improvements in the game, but we all know what happened after Warzone got released. I myself am not a Warzone enjoyer. I mean, I had some times with it, but it wasn't necessarily a positive experience for me that I kept going back to after it stayed its life cycle in 2019. Just kind of a bland experience for me. But you know what wasn't bland? The campaign in this game. I know that this was the gripping point for myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people. Clean house. You can just say clean house, and you're gonna get the gist of what you need. That is one of the best campaign missions, I think, of all time. I hold that in very high regards, and the rest of the campaign is pretty consistent with its narrative, too. It would be one of the campaigns that'd be quick to replay. I'd also like to give a quick props to the multiplayer this game had. It wasn't great, but there were a few cool advancements. I was a big fan of the gunsmith system, and I also appreciate the night vision mode that you could play in the multiplayer. Nice little change of pace, and I appreciate changes of pace. Coming in with a 53%, we have Black Ops 4. I'd like to take a quick second to note that games from here on out are more positive than negative. Like, all these games are serviceable in one way or another, and I enjoy playing them, especially back in their time. Black Ops 4, this low? Why? There's not a campaign! How could they do that? Treyarch is my favorite developer for Call of Duty games and they didn't make a fucking campaign. I don't care how good Blackout was, and spoiler, it wasn't that good. I hate to put it this low, but that's just such an unavoidable flaw that I cannot put it any higher. It sucks because I actually really like the other elements of this game. The multiplayer was different, it was more slow-paced and competitive, and I really like that. I think all the specialists were well done. I thought the gunplay was perfect. I got Dark Matter in this game. This is one of the only games where I went completionist all the way. And the zombies was pretty damn good as well. There were some flops maps, and they leaned a little too hard into nostalgia bait for the storyline with the original crew. But at the same time, there are some of the biggest sleeper maps in the entire franchise in this game. Specifically, 9 is my favorite, and also Ancient Evil is very good as well. There was a lot of hand-holding that went along with this title. The specialist weapons, the 4 hits before you go down automatically. But overall, I'd say this one's a net positive. If it weren't for the campaign being non-existent, this game would be ranking a good bit higher. Next up on the ranking, just barely edging out Black Ops 4 with a 54 out of 100, we have the original Modern Warfare. Now, you gotta give this game some respect. This is where it all started. This is where we would recognize Call of Duty to be what it would become. The multiplayer especially is kind of where this took off and really made a name for itself. Many of the elements we'd see later in the franchise were started in this game. So because of this, it was still in its early phases, and there was some polish that needed to be applied later on. The multiplayer was iconic, and so was that campaign. This campaign deserves some flowers. A ton of different set pieces, characters that would become legends in the franchise, and characters that this franchise cannot seem to move on from. I love you, Soap. I love your Price. Give me something new. So many big events happen in this campaign. You feel like you're really going through those war zones. The nuke going off, fucking around with the Marines, that ending mission. It's very iconic, and it deserves the love that I'm giving it right now. But there's something missing with this game, and that's the third game mode. Like I say, it was an early installment in the franchise, but arcade mode is probably one of the weaker third game modes that you could expect out of a Call of Duty game. Not much I can do to hate on this, but it is noticeable. A noticeable increase for our next installment. With 60 out of 100, we have Call of Duty World War II. The very first Call of Duty game that did not have a jetpack after that little era of advanced movement. Call of Duty World War II really gave a breath of fresh air to things. And a big part of this is that it tried a lot of different things, noticeably the division system in the multiplayer. I thought this was a very unique and charming way to spice things up and really try to encourage players to specialize their classes and switch among them mid-game. I was particularly fond of the bayonet, the suppressor, the tactical knife you could have with the resistance class. It was all very cool and very endearing. These new things also translate into the campaign. When you take a look at that, you see that this is the only campaign that I'm aware of, at least, where you have a health bar to keep track of. You see, usually you automatically regenerate your health, but in Call of Duty World War II, you have to get your health packs from companions or around the map and heal with a manual input button. This changed the dynamic of the game in a, I think, cool way. Additionally, you get more features from squad mates, and each of the squad mates have their own character that you see throughout the game. It wasn't high cinema, but this game had a narrative that I enjoyed and wouldn't mind going back to play. The zombies, on the other hand, I would mind going back to play. The enemies themselves, the guns, the maps, they're all fine. I don't have any bones to pick with those. The atmosphere, though, that's kind of where I start moving away from this game. I feel like this game tried way too hard to be edgy and scary because the Black Ops games were moving away from kind of the scary atmosphere, I feel like they overcorrected when they were trying to do this. It's not my cup of tea. I could see why other people were enjoying it, just not for me, and that reflects on this game's rating. Also, before we move on, that main score absolutely slaps. The menus all using the M1 gram ping got annoying after a while, so ups and down for the style points. Next up we have on our list, with 60% rating, is Black Ops 3. Okay, hold up, don't click off yet, let me explain. Allow me to explain the negatives before I get into the positives, because the negatives really hold this game back. Starting off with the campaign. Storytelling that is indirect can be very graceful. Black Ops 3 attempted to do this, and Black Ops 3 failed to do this. I had to watch a YouTube video to understand what was going on for the entirety of the time. Bo-Katan cannot compensate for that. The overarching sound design and style of this game were both just very bland in my opinion. As you can probably discern from this video, it's hard for me to fully appreciate a futuristic style because I just think that there are a few ways that you can do it in a way that is truly beautiful. Black Ops 3, of course, did not live up to that expectation. Now to look at the positives, and there is one very big positive and another solid positive, but the zombies. This is where you go to play zombies. Everything about this game, even after all these years, is damn near flawless. You have the best run of maps of all time. Jason Blundell was in his bag writing this shit. Wonder weapons around every corner. Everybody had something in this game. I just think it was perfect. The music, everything that I think is stellar comes from the zombies game mode. This is peak Call of Duty, people. Also Heather Graham. And before we close off this game, I'd like to give a little mention to the multiplayer. I spent a lot of time on this multiplayer, and it is by far, from what I tell, the best advanced movement multiplayer. The specialists were solid. It was fairly balanced. The map selection was adequate, if not a little repetitive. Overall, I enjoyed my time playing this multiplayer. Next up on the list, with 65%, we have Black Ops 6. If any of you folk out there are surprised, I'm surprised too. After I crunched the numbers and really thought about things, I realized that this game is surprisingly solid and it deserves a spot this high on the list. Now, I completely understand people wanting to put Black Ops 3 over this game, but I just think that is entirely well-rounded, while Black Ops 3 relies on two factors to really thrust it up that high. We'll start off with the campaign. This campaign is nothing to write home about. It's what we've come to expect out of a Black Ops campaign these past few installments. There's some mind-bending stuff like there was in Black Ops 3, but at least I can understand them in stride and just reflect upon them in my own right instead of relying on outside sources to fill in the gaps for me. I kinda like when they throw a little wonky horror aspect in the campaign. I think that's cool. This kind of transitions into the style because I really dig the 90s aesthetic that this game went for and executed pretty well. Bill Clinton was in the campaign. You had technology reflective of the time. You had some song choices. I know that Stadium map had Faith No More, so that scored some bonus points. Just little things here and there like that make me know that the developers took some time to make this game look and feel nice in the hands of the consumer. I'm also a fan of the Omni movement that they add into this game. The map selection in the multiplayer was rather accommodating for this style of movement, and I appreciate their thoughts of doing that. The gunplay was pretty damn fun. All my favorite gun archetypes were present in the game. I also appreciate that it was a little slapstick in its execution. There's always going to be a fun couple moments in the multiplayer where it's just like, what the hell is going on? In a good way though. Rounding off this game, the zombies is adequate. I enjoyed the zombies. It's nothing to write home about like Black Ops 3. It isn't groundbreaking. It is nice. It's playable. That's what this entire game is. It's playable. And I gotta give some props to Kdawg for proving that there is a completely adequate Call of Duty game that can be made in this time and age. For a while, I thought that wasn't possible. And I gotta thank this game for making me realize that it is entirely possible for that to happen, and I should hold some higher standards when it comes to my video games. Thank you, Black Ops 6. Before we move on, I'd just like to give a qualifier for the rest of the games on this list. There is a noticeable jump in the rating I give these games because these games are all heavy hitters. I love all of these games in their own ways, and I feel like if we got more of these out of Activision and Blizzard, we would have a lot of good times. Coming in here at number 5, with a score of 74%, we have the original Modern Warfare 3. This game is a worthy installment of the Modern Warfare series and a great follow-up to Modern Warfare 2. The campaign was a satisfying ending to everything that the original 2 games were establishing, and the payoff of hanging Makarov is just too nice to avoid. A lot of great set pieces, Yuri was a cool character, Price was in his bag, things got emotional too. Overall, a very good narrative. For the third game mode in Modern Warfare 3, I went ahead and bundled together the survival mode and the Spec Ops mode. These 2 game modes complement each other, giving you a round-based experience if you were more of a zombies fan, while also retaining that glory that Special Operations gave you in MW2. I will say I have a bit of a bias because I am a fan of Spec Ops. Regardless though, these missions are very nice and do a good job of continuing what Modern Warfare 2 started. Side note, I'd just like to say that I spent a lot of time in that one house in Resistance playing survival. The multiplayer in this game is also objectively a good multiplayer. It took the basic formula of Modern Warfare 2 and tried to expand upon it. I'm kind of punk-minded though, and what I interpret this as, they tried to do everything Modern Warfare 2 did, but better. I don't like when people try to one-up themselves in this way, so it loses a few points for me, but still a very good multiplayer, with a lot of great maps as well. For the aesthetics and style of this game, you can definitely tell that they try to go pro. The previous game had a perfect soundtrack and score. They tried to go a different way, make it feel like an action movie more so than Modern Warfare 2 did, and I don't think they executed properly. This even dribbled out into the box art. They just had one of their employees do the box art for the first 2 Modern Warfare games. Modern Warfare 3, they hired an actor. They were trying a little too hard in my opinion. Okay, I know this one is gonna piss some people off, but with 84 out of 100, we have Black Ops 2. Okay, guys. Hear me out real quick, please. I love this game. Like, this is one of the top-notch campaigns you could ask for. Sorry. Where was I? Yeah, campaign. This campaign did something so unique that I don't know if people can even replicate it again. The branching paths you could take, everything being acted out so well. It feels like every action you make in this game has weight to it. Even just not taking the headshot, like, has repercussions. I also am a big fan of the 2 time eras that this campaign took place in. I thought that is a really cool creative element, and I think they executed it super well. The multiplayer is also pretty damn good. All the guns feel like they have a place. There are a ton of different strategies thanks in part to the Pick 10 system that this game introduced. I feel like the Pick 10 system isn't my favorite for multiplayer though, so there's some giving and taking here. This was also my first experience with a proper camo grind, so that gets some credit from me. This game also did very well in its map selection. All the maps in this game were pretty much heat, It also set the precedent that DLC maps would also be really damn good, including some returning maps. To stay consistent, this futuristic style is alright, but I like the integrations it had with the original Black Ops 1 style that kind of throws all that schizo stuff at you at once. It's a good best between both worlds. Now, Kdawg, you ask, why isn't this game number 1? It seems like you only have good things to say about it. Well, my keen-eyed viewer, you'd be right. But if you were also keen-eyed, you'd understand that I haven't talked about the zombies yet. What do you mean, talk about the zombies? 2 of the best zombies maps of all time are in this game, Mob of the Dead and Origins, and also a good contender in Buried. Think about all of the other maps in this game. Transit, Die Rise, and Nuketown Zombies. It is not something I can look past because of Origins. This is the worst run of zombies maps in history, and I didn't even know at the time how bad I had it. I'd rather play a multitude of other games and other zombies modes than some of these maps in Black Ops 2. No matter how much I love this game, it came up short in the zombies department, even though it launched off Jason Blundell's regime. I just have to look at the whole picture instead of part of it. It ain't gonna be number 1 today, as much as I love Black Ops 2. Moving on in the list, also coming in at an 84%, just barely getting the preferential edge over Black Ops 2, we have Call of Duty World at War. The first thing I'm gonna say about this game is that it is the only 10 out of 10 I gave for style points. Everything about this game, from the ambiance, to the music, to the sound design for the guns, is top notch. They went to an actual firing range to record sounds for most of these guns, and that is phenomenal work. They got Kiefer Sutherland and Gary Oldman for both sides of the campaign, and they gave it their A game. That's a good transition into the campaign, which I think is also a 10 out of 10, much similar to Black Ops 2. While there aren't branching paths, you do have 2 insane fucking narratives that do kind of modify themselves based off of your actions. This is mainly seen in the Russian storyline, with Chernov's diary at the end. The amount of storytelling, not only through the gameplay, but also through the environment that you go through, is so freaking cool. It makes you really feel that Horrors of War aspect. As we move on to the third game mode, I'd like to say that this was the original labor of love. We would not have a zombies game mode this iconic without some renegade developers making this in secret. The fact that they had to hide this game mode, and it was so popular among themselves that they threw it in for a little bonus, and now we have this empire that was raised because of this love. I have to give it some extra credit. No, it's not a perfect game mode yet. Yes, Juggernaut doesn't work right on Darius. And yes, you kind of stick on zombies. But it is simple and effective. You run away from the zombies and you light them up when you get the chance. That leaves the multiplayer to really hold this game back from perfection. Like I said for Modern Warfare 3, I don't like when developers try to one-up what had happened beforehand. And the developers just rehashed everything that went right with Modern Warfare 1. It worked out alright, but there was so much unnecessary stuff in this game. I think there were glasses as a perk. Things were horribly unbalanced. If you had Juggernaut, you could tank so many hits from guns. And speaking of the guns, the MP40 dominated that shit. It wasn't a good environment, but I give it some points because of the map selection being pretty good in my eyes. Moving on and taking home the silver medal for the COD ranking is the original Modern Warfare 2, sitting at an 85%. My original notes for this game were, "fuck yeah," quote unquote. That pretty much sums up the enjoyment factor of this game. Everything is just balls to the wall, grabbing at you, fuck yeah. This really began when they tried to revamp the style that Modern Warfare produced, keeping that lime green tech color, but giving some extra jazz surrounding it to make it look and pop a bit more. One of those big aspects is the score that this game had, being produced by Hans Zimmer, one of my favorites, and Lorne Balfe together. They did such a damn good job, and that music still has a happy home on my playlist. Side note, I want World at War on Spotify. Why won't they do that? Do they just hate me? Speaking of sound design, each gun had such magnificent sound design. The intervention bullet sound has such an integral place in pop culture history that goes unsung, and countless other weapons have such a distinct sound that really make you know what's happening whenever you go into a multiplayer game. Going into the multiplayer too, people have said that this game was the cocaine binge that Infinity Ward went on while they were producing, and they're right in a good way. Everything in this game is viable because everything in this game is overpowered. You can kit out your deck however you'd like and get a nuke. People have gotten nukes with every single gun. The machine pistols are great. The launchers serve their purposes. The grenade launchers are infamous. And those are just the secondaries. Everything in this game was poppin' one way or another. I feel like if I joined a lobby right now, picked up a random gun like the Vector, I could still do work because that's how well they were designed. And I'd have fun too because it's overpowered. It's a win-win in my book. I'd also like to mention that selectable kill streaks were first introduced in this game as well, and they worked like a charm. Very few kill streaks were not worth running, unless it was because there was one that overshadowed them. They were all fun one way or another, and they all add value to the player. The map selection in this game is also banging too. There's a reason why they tried to bring it back for Modern Warfare 2 Next Gen, and eventually brought it back for Modern Warfare 3 Next Gen. It's because these maps work. Even the big ugly ones like Wasteland, I have countless experiences on. You just can't get better than this multiplayer. I'd also like to shine light on this campaign. I don't know if it's the Yankee in me, but fighting through Washington, D.C. is so awesome. Like, I cannot overstate how much I love it. You get to see all these familiar pieces. You see a last stand at the Washington Monument. You gotta take over the White House. Man, it just checks all my American boxes. And that's only half of the campaign. Task Force 141 has a dope-ass story, so many cool moments, dicks out for Roach and Ghost, enough said. Right before we move on to our top spot, I'd like to give a little mention to the Spec Ops. It isn't as good as what was in Modern Warfare 3, but I still had a lot of fun with these, even busting out the split screen to play Big Brother. A lot of fun. Taking the cake today, with a 90 out of 100 on my ranking, is Black Ops 1. Now, to say this game is good is an understatement. This is the most well-balanced Call of Duty game, and I will die on that hill with a smile on my face. The campaign is iconic, lit, and beautiful. So many great moments from every single mission, even the ones where you aren't shooting people, feel like you are taking in such an important moment in that time period. JFK speaking to ya, you're going schizo, you gotta find out what the numbers mean. The reverse storytelling, learning about the numbers, it works out so well, and the cutscenes just have that art style I mentioned previously that just throws everything at you at once. You feel overwhelmed, you feel just like the dude in the interrogation chair. This is backed up by a great original score made by Sean Murray, the same dude who made Call of Duty World at War's score, so it had a lot going for it in the art department. The multiplayer is at the very least charming. It isn't entirely balanced, like there are a few guns that are just bottom feeders that I wouldn't dare using, but at the same time, there's a lot of great weapons in there and a lot of my favorite archetypes. Revolvers, heavy snipers, run around with snipers, they're all there. A lot of people give criticisms to the map selection, and it isn't the strongest map selection that you could ask for. However, I do like the way that they modify the maps whenever you play a smaller game mode like Free For All or one of the party games. Speaking of the party games, the wager matches in this mode felt awesome because you were betting your actual in-game currency. That was a real thing. You had something to lose that made every single wager match feel so heavy. This is also the game that introduced gun games, sticks and stones. It was a great time to be a casual gamer. One last parting note on Black Ops 1, as my favorite Call of Duty game, is the zombies. There were multiple different experiences that you could choose for in your zombies experience. You could try hard playing Shangri-La or 5 or Call of the Dead, something that demands a little bit more out of the player. Or you could chill out and relax and play Ascension or Kino or even Dead Ops Arcade. Each map had its own great features, wonder weapons, new perks were really starting to take off at this time, and tons of different boss zombies to experience that all are very iconic and kind of shaped what zombies would go forward to become. And that concludes my Call of Duty ranking. Thank you all for sticking by. Please let me know your opinions in the comments. I'd really like to hear about what the larger community has to say about this topic. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. I don't know if I'll necessarily make another long video like this, but I try to put some good effort in these. I think my next project's going to be Ghost of Yotei Let's Play, because I've been really excited about that game for a long time. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope y'all stay cool. Peace out.